Though Bobby's marriage to Sandra didn't last, he always showed respect for her as the mother of his child. They didn't always get along, but they both wanted what was best for Dodd. In fact, Bobby even once said in an interview that Sandra was a great mom and that he was proud of the family they had created. Bobby never remarried in the traditional sense, though there were rumors of a short second marriage to his legal secretary, Andrea Yeager, shortly before his death in 1973. That second relationship was never in the spotlight like his first marriage, and little is known about it. Most people still remember Bobby and Sandra as the couple that once lit up the Hollywood scene. When Bobby Darin passed away, his son Dodd was just 12 years old. His death was a huge loss for the family. Dodd later said that losing his dad at such a young age was very painful, but he has always remembered the good times they had together. He went on to write a book about his parents called Dream Lovers: The Magnificent Shattered Lives of Bobby Darin and Sandra Dee, where he shared his personal memories and the true story behind their relationship. Many fans remember Bobby Darin for his amazing talent, but they also admire the love he had for his son. Even though his marriage ended and his life was short, Bobby's connection with his child remained strong. His son has helped keep his memory alive, showing the world that behind the fame and music, there was a man who truly cared about family. However, tragedy wasn't yet leaving this family alone. Always lurking in the shadows is death, which waits for none and shows mercy to none, whether an average everyday person or a Hollywood legend. Stay with us as we reveal the mystery behind the sudden death of Bobby Darin and the events that led up to such a unfortunate demise. The final chapter of Bobby Darin's life was filled with pain, bravery, and a non-stop fight against his own body. For most of his adult life, Bobby lived with a secret that many of his fans didn't know. His heart was weak, and he always knew he was living on borrowed time. Even though he looked healthy and full of life on stage, his body was slowly breaking down. Bobby had suffered from rheumatic fever when he was a young boy. That illness damaged his heart permanently. Doctors had once told his family that he might not live past the age of 16, but Bobby had other plans. He ignored the warnings to follow his dreams and make a name for himself in the industry. He worked hard and fast, almost as if he was trying to do everything before time ran out. In truth, that is exactly what he was doing. By the time he reached his early 30s, Bobby had already gone through his first open-heart surgery. Most people his age were just getting started in life, but Bobby was already dealing with major health issues. That first surgery helped him for a while. He got back to work and continued to sing, act, and perform, but his heart was getting weaker over time, and he knew it. In the early 1970s, Bobby began to feel worse. He became tired easily. His chest would hurt. He sometimes needed an oxygen tank just to breathe before and after shows. Still, he kept going. He didn't want anyone to see him as sick or weak. On stage, he was full of energy and charm, but once he was off stage, he would often be too tired to even talk. He had to rest a lot and sometimes canceled shows when his body couldn't keep up. Even though his health was declining, Bobby still had big goals. He returned to television and tried to restart his career in Las Vegas. He also changed his music to reflect the serious things he was thinking about. He began writing songs about social problems and even showed interest in getting involved in politics one day. But behind these new plans was a man who was barely holding himself together under the constant pressure and strain to become better. Then, something unexpected made everything worse. In 1973, Bobby had to get some dental work done. It didn't seem like a big deal at first, but for someone with a weak heart, even something small can be dangerous. Bacteria from his mouth entered his bloodstream and caused an infection. This infection, called endocarditis, attacked his heart and made him very sick. For Bobby, this infection was deadly. He was quickly admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Doctors gave him strong medicine to fight the infection, but his heart was too weak to handle it. The infection spread, and Bobby's condition became more serious. The doctors told him he needed another open-heart surgery. This would be his second major surgery in just a few years. The surgery was risky, but Bobby said yes. He knew the chances were low, but he wanted to fight. On December 11th, 1973, the operation began. The doctors gave him anesthesia and started working on his heart. The surgery was long and difficult. He lost a lot of blood and his heart was badly damaged. The doctors did everything they could, but Bobby never woke up after the surgery. He stayed in a coma for several days. His friends and family visited him in the hospital, hoping he would recover. His son and close relatives spent time with him, knowing that he may not have much time left. His loved ones later said that Bobby had always spoken openly about death. He wasn't afraid of it. He just didn't want to waste any time while he was alive. On December 20th, 1973, Bobby Darin died. He was only 37 years old. The official cause of death was heart failure following surgery. It was a sad end to a life filled with talent, passion, and non-stop energy. His family was heartbroken but not surprised. They knew how hard he had fought and how much pain he had hidden from the public. There was no big funeral or public memorial. Bobby had made his wishes clear before he died. He wanted his body to be donated to medical research. He hoped that doctors could learn something from his heart and help others in the future. His family respected his wishes and followed them exactly. There was no ceremony, just a quiet goodbye. People who had worked with Bobby remembered how strong he was. Even when he was sick, he always tried to do his best. He smiled through the pain and never complained. He continued working until the very end. His doctors later said that it was amazing he had lived as long as he did. Most people with his condition would not have made it past childhood. Bobby Darin lived with urgency. He knew he had limited time, so he filled every moment with action, creativity, and ambition. Even though his life was short, he accomplished more than most people do in a lifetime. Such accomplishments meant no financial problems whatsoever for a celebrity with such a huge name in the music scene. So, let's take a closer look at the net worth of Bobby Darin and how he came to accumulate all his wealth. Net worth of Bobby Darin. At the time of his death in 1973, Bobby Darin's net worth was estimated to be around $2 million, which was a considerable amount in those days, equal to over $13 million today when adjusted for inflation. He had earned this fortune through a wide mix of music sales, live performances, film roles, television appearances, and songwriting royalties. Alongside his successful career in the spotlight, Darin was also a smart businessman who understood the value of controlling his work. He wrote many of his own songs, which meant he earned extra money every time those songs were played, recorded, or used in movies or television. His hit singles like Mac the Knife, Dream Lover, Beyond the Sea, and Splish Splash sold millions of copies and brought in regular royalty checks for years. In addition to record sales, Darin earned a lot from touring. He played packed theaters, nightclubs, and concert halls around the country, often performing multiple shows in a single evening. These live performances were a big source of income, especially since he was one of the few performers of the time who could fill venues with both teenagers and older audiences. He also performed in Las Vegas, where stars were often paid huge fees. Darin's performances were so energetic and polished that clubs were willing to pay top dollar to book him. His acting endeavors also helped boost his net worth, with him even earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. These movie roles helped him generate more income while also expanding his popularity. Television appearances brought in money too, especially when he hosted his own variety shows. His face and name became a regular feature on American screens, and each appearance increased his financial value by leaps and bounds. Bobby Darin created his own business, called the Bobby Darin Amusement Company, to manage his deals and projects. This allowed him to have more control over his career, as well as making smarter decisions about his money. It gave him more financial freedom than many other stars at the time. However, like many entertainers, Darin also had high expenses. He lived in luxurious homes, wore expensive clothes, and traveled in style. He supported his family and his team of assistants and staff. He was known for being generous with friends and people he cared about. At the same time, he spent a lot of money hiring top-quality musicians and creating impressive stage setups to entertain his audience. Slowly and gradually, as his health deteriorated and seemed to only worsen with the passage of time, so did his income. Medical costs became a serious burden, especially after 2 major heart surgeries and frequent medical care. His condition was serious and long-lasting, and the cost of treatment was high. The music industry was also changing, and the demand for his style of music began to shift. gift. Still, there were those who enjoyed and appreciated his music, allowing him to still be able to earn from his royalties. One of the most interesting parts of Darin's financial story is how carefully he planned things for after his death. He left behind clear instructions about what to do with his body and estate. This showed how private he had become in his final years. In terms of money, he had made sure that his only child would be financially secure. According to Bobby's will, most of his estate would go to Dodd when he turned 21. Since Dodd was only 12 when Bobby passed away, the money was placed in a trust for several years. A smaller portion of the estate was also given to close family members and people who had been part of his life. Even after his death, Bobby Darin's estate continued to grow in value. His songs were re-released and introduced to new generations of fans. His music was used in commercials, movies, and television shows, earning additional royalties. The rights to his image, performances, and name were also protected, making sure that anyone who wanted to use his work legally had to pay for it. Over time, his son Darin became involved in managing the estate. Dodd also wrote a book about his father's life called Dream Lovers, which added more interest in Bobby's story and legacy. Today, Darin's name is still known and respected in the music world. His recordings are played on streaming platforms like Spotify and YouTube, and every time someone listens, the estate earns a small amount. These royalties may seem small on their own, but over time and with millions of plays, they add up. Bobby Darin didn't leave behind the kind of giant fortune that some stars do today, but he left something more important: music that still earns money and inspires people. His songs are still loved, his performances still watched, and his estate is still active. Thanks to his talent and smart planning, his financial legacy lives on. Bobby Darin's life was a blend of brilliance and sorrow, rising from poverty to stardom, only to face heartbreak and illness. His marriage to Sandra Dee crumbled, and his fragile health cut his journey short at 37. Yet, his music still captivates several hearts and is remembered by many. Though gone too soon, Darin's legacy as a consummate entertainer lives on, continuing to inspire current and aspiring artists alike. What are your thoughts on Bobby Darin's life? Was it inspiring, tragic, or a bit of both? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true stories and hidden chapters from the lives of your favorite stars.
You're feeling low and oh so small, then suddenly you're 8 feet tall.
From fame and fortune to a forgotten home, what happened to Bobby Darin? Behind the spotlight was a life marked by heartbreak, secrets, and tragedy. His health was failing, his marriage had crumbled, and the mansion that once echoed with music now stood eerily silent and abandoned. How did it all fall apart? And what happened to the fortune he worked so hard to build? Stay with us, because Bobby Darin's real story is far more haunting than you ever imagined.
Have you given up our stuff here, music?
No, I haven't given up at all. I just feel that it's given me up.
Birth of a star. In the golden age of show business, when black and white TVs filled living rooms and radios were the heart of entertainment, a young man named Bobby Darin burst onto the scene like a firework in the night sky. His voice, his charm, and his energy made him impossible to ignore. Almost overnight, Bobby became one of the most talked about stars in America. What made Bobby Darin stand out wasn't just his voice, rather it was the way he made people feel. When he sang Splish Splash, kids danced in their kitchens, twisting and laughing. When he performed Mac the Knife, grown-ups were glued to their radios, swaying to the smooth rhythm. His songs had a way of sneaking into everyone's hearts, no matter their age. His music didn't just entertain people, but it also created memories. But Bobby wasn't only popular because of his music. He had a spark that made him shine brighter than others. On stage, he smiled with confidence and moved with style. Off stage, he dressed sharp and carried himself like a star. He was everywhere, on TV shows, movie screens, music charts, and magazine covers. People couldn't get enough of him. In just a few short years, Bobby Darin became a symbol of success. Fans sent him letters every day. Reporters followed his every move. Teenagers hung posters of him in their rooms, dreaming of meeting him one day. At concerts, crowds screamed his name before he even opened his mouth. He was young, talented, and living the dream. But Bobby wasn't content with just singing pop songs. He wanted more. He changed styles and proved he could sing jazz, folk, and even country. People realized that unlike most other pop stars during that time, he was an artist with true talent who had the ability to change the music game forever. His ability to adapt to different genres showed his deep understanding of music and what audiences wanted to hear. Even movie directors noticed. Bobby starred in films and even earned award nominations for his acting. He went from being a singer to a full-blown entertainer overnight, simply due to his determination and skill. Every step he took in his career seemed to turn into gold. He made people laugh, cry, and cheer, all in one performance. And every new success added to his glowing reputation. Bobby's work on television also made him a household name. He appeared on many popular shows and even hosted his own. Viewers enjoyed his charm, humor, and polished performances. Whether he was performing live or being interviewed, he came across as someone with true passion for his craft. As the years passed, Bobby's popularity never truly faded. He kept performing, trying new things, and finding ways to stay connected to his audience. He wasn't afraid to take risks. He chased fearlessly after his dreams without an ounce of doubt in himself. Bobby Darin's name became a part of American music history. But when someone becomes a household name, there are always some downsides, too. With flashing cameras, paparazzi, and fans always around, where could a rising star go to find peace and quiet? Probably the same place everyone turns to.
I live in a little house now in Malibu on the beach, which kind of keeps me together with the realities of...
You have children, don't you?
I have a little boy, 8.5 years old.
Home, abandoned house, and memories. Down a quiet road, behind a gate no one opens anymore, stands a house that once sang with life. This house doesn't look like it belonged to someone famous, but once upon a time it did. It was Bobby Darin's house. In a quiet part of Los Angeles, Bobby Darin's former home once stood as a proud symbol of style, creativity, and success. Today, the same property is abandoned and slowly being taken over by time and nature. The contrast between what it used to be and what it is now is both fascinating and sad. In the 1960s, it featured sleek, modern architecture with large windows, flat roofs, and open floor plans, very popular during that era. Located in a private, upscale neighborhood, the house offered peace and privacy, something celebrities valued deeply. Inside, it had multiple spacious rooms, including a custom-designed music studio. This studio reportedly had soundproof walls, hardwood floors for perfect acoustics, and a grand piano placed near a wide window with a view of the hills. A classic vinyl record player and speakers were built directly into the wall, letting music flow throughout the home. There was a fireplace in the main sitting area, surrounded by built-in shelves that once held awards, books, and framed photos from Bobby Darin's career. The kitchen featured stainless steel appliances, marble countertops, and a large breakfast bar, ideal for entertaining guests and fellow performers. Outside, the backyard included a tiled swimming pool, trimmed hedges, and lounge chairs lined up neatly under a shaded pergola. The patio had space for parties, small concerts, or quiet nights under the stars. The garden was professionally landscaped with roses, palm trees, and a stone pathway leading to a side guest house. This house wasn't just a place to live, it was a showplace. Everything about it spoke of fame, taste, and a fast-moving life filled with creativity. But after Bobby Darin's death, the property changed hands briefly before eventually being left vacant. Over the years, maintenance stopped, and the once impressive house began to fall apart. Today, the large glass windows are either broken or covered in dust. Several are boarded up with old plywood. The bright white walls have turned a dull gray, with large patches of peeled paint and signs of water damage. What was once a smooth, shining driveway is now cracked, with weeds pushing through the gaps. The music studio, once the heart of the home, is reportedly empty. The grand piano is long gone, and the soundproof walls are now stained and damaged. The ceiling in parts of the home has collapsed due to leaks, and furniture either rotted away or was removed long ago. What was once a clean, relaxing outdoor space now feels eerie and lifeless. In the backyard, the garden is overgrown. Bushes have turned into thickets, Vines creep up the outer walls, and the stone pathway has disappeared beneath layers of dirt and weeds. Wildlife, such as raccoons and stray cats, have been spotted using the property as shelter. Some neighbors have even said the area feels haunted due to the silence and appearance of the place. A house that once welcomed stars, laughter, and music now stands empty, forgotten, and falling apart. It also raises a question: why has no one restored or sold the house? Some believe it has legal issues or ownership complications. Others think it may simply have been left to fade away, like many other homes once owned by stars from the past. Whatever the reason, it remains untouched. Over the years, fans have found the house through online maps or word of mouth. Some visit quietly, taking pictures from the sidewalk. They don't enter or damage the property, they're just curious. They want to see the place that once belonged to someone whose voice filled radios and theaters across the country. Still standing, still remembered by some, but slowly crumbling. Bobby Darin's former home is more than just a building. It's a physical reminder of how quickly things can change. It once stood full of promise and activity, but now it shows how even places tied to fame can fall into silence. This house, with its broken windows and dry pool, may no longer be a glamorous sight, but it still holds meaning. It reminds us that even the brightest stars leave behind quiet places. And while the spotlight may move on, their presence can still be felt in the walls, the rooms, and the memories people choose not to forget. One might also argue that memories are nothing without someone to share them with. And what better way to bring a house to life than a family? Let us delve into the world of relationship struggles and hardships faced by the late singer and his wife, raising their only son, Dodd Mitchell Darin.
Arriving in Los Angeles to begin a 4-day honeymoon after a midnight wedding in Elizabeth, New Jersey, are actress Sandra Dee and singer Bobby Darin.
Relationship with wife and son. Bobby Darin was not just a famous singer and actor. He also had a personal life filled with love, challenges, and family. One of the most talked about parts of his life was his marriage to a well-known actress, Sandra Dee. Their relationship was once full of love and excitement, but it also had its share of problems. Together, they had a son, who became a very important part of Bobby's life. Bobby Darin met Sandra Dee in the early 1960s while filming a movie called Come September. Sandra was already a popular movie star at the time, known for playing sweet, innocent characters in romantic films. She was beautiful, young, and adored by fans. Bobby, on the other hand, was a rising star in the music world with charm and confidence that caught everyone's attention. When they met, there was an instant connection between them. Their love story moved quickly. Just a few months after meeting, Bobby and Sandra got married in December 1960. Sandra was only 18 years old at the time, and Bobby was 24. Many people thought they were too young and that they rushed into marriage. But to them, it felt like the right thing to do. They were young, in love, and at the height of their fame. At first, their marriage seemed like a dream. They were both stars, they were deeply in love, and they lived in a beautiful home in Hollywood. Paparazzi often took pictures of them smiling and laughing together. They were considered one of the perfect couples of Hollywood at the time. In 1961, they welcomed their only child, a son named Dodd Mitchell Darin. Bobby was overjoyed to become a father. He loved his son very much and often said that being a dad was one of the most special things in his life. He spent time with Dodd whenever he could, even though his busy schedule often kept him away. Bobby wanted to be a strong and loving father, and he tried hard to be part of his son's life. However, as the years went by, Bobby and Sandra's marriage started to have problems. The pressures of fame, long work hours, and different personalities caused stress in their relationship. Bobby was full of energy, always chasing new dreams, while Sandra was more shy and private. They also had disagreements about how to raise their son and how to handle their careers. Another challenge was Bobby's health. He had a weak heart since childhood, which made life more difficult for him. The stress from work and his personal life only made things harder. Meanwhile, Sandra was also dealing with personal issues, including her own health and emotional struggles. All these problems started to build up. By 1967, Bobby and Sandra decided to separate. Their divorce became final in 1967 after 7 years of marriage. It was a sad time for both of them, and even though they were no longer together, they both cared deeply about their son. Bobby continued to stay involved in Dodd's life and tried to be a good father, despite the divorce. After the divorce, Sandra raised Dodd, but Bobby remained an important part of his life. Whenever he could, Bobby would spend time with his son, taking him on trips, playing music, and talking about life. Dodd has said in interviews that his father was loving, kind, and full of life, even when he was struggling with health issues.